Ladies and gentlemen, what's going on? My name is Denanu, aka the man with the most, biggest, and the most blackest privilege on YouTube. And with this video here, we're going to be talking about a movie that I knew I wasn't going to like, to be honest. We're going to be talking about, what's they call it? The Predator? Predators? I don't know, I've lost count at this point about how many name changes the Predator franchise had, and I went to go see the movie earlier today, so I'm about 3 or 4 hours away from when I saw it, and I remember when I first seen the trailers, hearing how the story was going to be, I knew this was not going to be a movie that was being made for me. I'm an old school Predator fan, love Predator 1 and 2, read all the comic books, even got a lot of the novels that they've made off of the Predator franchise and things like that. So I'm a huge fan of the character, played all the video games, all that good stuff, right? And when I started to not like what they were doing with Predator was when they came out with AVP. And I think you had, like 2 AVP movies, and then they tried to reboot it with the last bullshit, what was it called, Predators, where they went to the alien planet with the group of people and they tried to pretty much replicate part 1, which is something you really can't do. And I guess now they learned that you can't replicate part 1 success, so they just said fuck it and went in a completely other direction, and that's what we got here. So I knew I wasn't gonna really like the movie, but I don't want to say it's a shitty movie. It's not a bad movie. Like when I ever say in any of my commentary videos, when I say something is bad, I mean it's something functionally bad about the movie. There are things about this movie that is bad. The movie being the way it is not one of those. It just doesn't fit me. I want an old school Predator movie. You know, give me something in the vein of Predator 1 or Predator 2. This seems to try to take the Predator mythos into a storyline which doesn't really fit. It didn't fit in this movie. It didn't fit in where I think they want to take the franchise, because I'm assuming they're trying to build not necessarily like a cinematic universe, but they want like a franchise of films, you know, something that can go from sequel to sequel. And I just don't think this is going to do that, YouTube. I really don't. It's one of those things where I'm going to try to stay spoiler free in this. It's not really it's not really a whole lot I can spoil, since they have most of it in the trailers, but there is a couple things I just don't want to just explain the movie. So I'm just going to explain what I hated and what I liked about the movie, and just my overall impressions of it after seeing it. And going into the movie, like I said, I knew I wasn't gonna like the movie per se, so I didn't really have any high expectations for it. I'm not expecting this movie to be on the same veins of like Predator 1 or Predator 2 for that matter. I kind of went into this like, oh, you know, let me go see this shitty movie and talk about it, you know. So it surprised me, I will say that, in both a positive way and a negative way. It surprised me positively by, I didn't think I was gonna like the I forget, what do they call them, the loonies, or the crazy group of human characters. I didn't think I was gonna like them as much as I did, and I'll touch on this a little bit later in the commentary towards the end, but I didn't expect to like them as much as I did. The main character guy, I didn't really like him when he was in Logan, but he's serviceable. He's okay. The extra storylines about the upgrade Predator, the main character's son having autism, deciphering the Predator language, Olivia Munn's character, they could have cut all of that bullshit out of the film. And that's what I'll touch on a little bit later too. But what they had is, they pretty much, this movie is a mosh pit of ideas that they blended together. And I guess they learned from the last Predator movies, like, okay, well, If we can't go serious with the movie like we want, we're just gonna say fuck it and jump the shark. And that's pretty much what they did with this one. You have all these oddball ideas. You have people dying every which way you could possibly show it. You have a lot of jokes and comedy. Hell, you even got the Predator doing jokes and comedies and this shit. So it surprised me how much comedy there was, because I knew it was gonna have jokes. Don't get me wrong, but I thought that was gonna be coming from the human characters mostly, not the fucking Predator. Like the one regular Predator in the movie, there's a joke where, for instance, he busts into this, let's say, like military transport vehicle. So you got, let's say, like the guy driving up front, and then you got like 3 or 4 guys in the back. So he busts through the back door. He kills everybody in there. Then when the driver turns around and say, "Hey, you guys okay back there?" He takes one of the guy's severed arm that has a thumbs up thing on his hand, and he sticks it out the front window thing so the guy can see it like it's the guy giving thumbs up. It's just like, I wasn't expecting the jokes to be that far. And to me, again, that's not what I want when I go see Predator. Like when I go see Predator, I want it to be like a serious movie. Like, yeah, you can have other human characters do a joke here and there, but I think they went way too far for me in my personal taste of what I want the franchise to be. Now, I can see why they're doing this. I mean, I'm not blind. They're doing this because they're trying to make money from the Predator franchise. I get it. They're trying to make a fun summer. I mean, I can't call it a blockbuster at this point. I mean, they kind of failed in that regard, but they're trying to make a fun summer movie that families can go see and get a laugh out of. And that's essentially what this movie is now. It's become, instead of it being a solid action movie, it's now an action comedy. I mean, there's no right or wrong way to say it. I mean, that's what it is now. And I personally hate that idea. I mean, I hate it with a passion. It's not what I want when I go see a Predator movie. But I'm pretty sure there are millions of people out there who don't give a fuck. And, it is what it is. And they're probably going to go see it, and they're going to probably think, oh, well, I don't mind it. It is, And that's just, maybe I'm old. Maybe these new movies that's coming out like this, they're just not for me. So I'm not hating the fact of what they did. I mean, I hate the reasons why they chose it. But, I mean, it is what it is. I don't own the fucking franchise, so I just don't think it's not going to be as big as they want it to be. Maybe it might make a little bit of money, but I doubt that. I think this is gonna probably make around the same amount of money that the last one did. And I know that one wasn't super big. Damn sure, isn't making any Marvel money. I know that for damn sure. But I think it'll probably make its money back. I didn't like how they reshot the ending and a lot of other parts in this movie. This movie is bad functionally in a few areas. Main story is there. A couple key points in that story, they just say fuck it, they don't explain. Didn't like that. They reshot the last half part of the story. There's a few scenes at the end where the story, if you're following it throughout the movie, it gets to a couple points where they just kind of jump into the ending and they finish what they did, but you can tell where it's like there's a couple parts in the story that they just don't cover, that they don't explain. And I'm trying not to spoiler things too bad, but there's a reason why the regular Predator is there, on Earth. The other Predator is chasing him. And the reason why the one Predator is there, I mean, I'm trying not to spoil it. They don't explain why he's giving that to the humans at all. And it doesn't even make any sense. Like, when you stop and think about the Predators as a species and what they've been doing on Earth, why would he help humans? Period. At all. It doesn't make any sense. And that's what they don't explain. They don't explain that at all. The very ending of the movie, when you see what he gives the humans, I thought, what the fuck? That's the dumbest idea they could possibly think of. And I don't know what the original ending to this movie was, because I'm pretty sure they probably changed it. They probably changed the story around entirely, because from what I understand, I I think before the movie came out, like earlier this year, they had a couple test screenings, and I want to even say like the original script got leaked out. And I think since those test screenings, they changed the ending of the movie based on feedback. So it's one of those things where it's like, I don't know what they had before, because I mean, I'm sure plenty of people have probably covered it, but I wanted to go into this, like, I knew I wasn't going to like it, but I didn't want to go into the movie knowing what to expect, so I didn't read up about the script or anything, but I don't know what they had, but I know it has to be better than what they actually released. I don't know why they changed it and introduced this thing that the Predator gives to humans, but it's something that looks incredibly stupid, and it doesn't explain why the Predators were helping humans, why they, it doesn't go with the plot of the movie, so it's like, it's completely like, it's like a surprise ending almost, and it makes you wonder, like, what? That doesn't make any sense though. But that's the way they chose to end the movie. I'm thinking that they're gonna try to make this into a sequel, or maybe build like a trilogy off of this, but honestly, I don't know if this movie is gonna make that much money. It reminds me a lot of the when they rebooted Independence Day. Well, not rebooted, I'm sorry. When they had the sequel to Independence Day came out, and they tried to sequel bait that into being like, oh, now we're gonna go to the aliens' planets and fuck them up. And it's like, that never happened because the movie was fucking ass. That's how this feels about Predator. It's like they did the same fucking shit. And I don't know if that's gonna be enough to draw audiences in. People like myself, or people who like the older movies, we like the Predator for being what it is, an action thriller movie. You can have big macho characters or big action set pieces, that's fine, but when it comes to the Predator, the alien, you want him hunting and killing animals and creatures, or aliens if you prefer those movies. That's what kind of sells that character, or you can go in a route like they did with the comic books, where you can have it work together with humans and that kind of sort of vein to fight a bigger threat like the aliens, things like that. I wish they'd have took a story from one of the comic book stories and just translated that to film, versus making this amalgamation of idea movie that just kind of just doesn't work. Now, what I will say, like I said, it sounds like I'm bashing on this movie hard, and I am. But what I did like about the movie was the loonies aspect. Like I said, I did not expect to like them as much as I did. And it's not all of them. They all had their own deaths in the movie, and I was like, okay, well, I could care less about these characters since you never build up enough time with them to truly like them. It's and plus everything happens so fast in the movie. It's hard to follow the pace of the characters. You don't care when anybody gets killed, and some people die in like half a second. Like the one, I forget what the guy's name is, but he's like the dark-skinned black guy. I know I think he was in Walking Dead, and he's been in tons of stuff, but he's like the main bad guy of the movie. He's the one scientist guy that's dressed up in the trailers, if you guys have seen it. The way he dies, he dies in half a second, to where like if you blink, you would miss his death, and you wouldn't know how or where he went to at the end of the movie. That's how quick he dies. And plus, he seemed like he was like an asshole for no reason. It's like they needed a bad guy for the film, and in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, isn't the bad guy the super predator? Or the upgrade predator, whatever they're calling him? But no, they needed this apparently random human scientist black guy who runs the Black Ops military shit to be the asshole black guy of the movie that's killing people for no reason. And I'll touch on that a little bit more later too, but I know I'm stretching on 15 minutes with this here, but like I said, the loonies, I like certain characters of them. I'm not gonna say all of them. Most of the big name actors. Michael Keane, whatever his name is, I liked him. I don't know the black guy's name. I think they called him Nebraska in the movie. I liked him as a character. Thomas Jane, like him in a lot of stuff he's in. But what I liked out of the loonies part of the story, give me a movie with just them. If they'd have had a movie of just them taking out a threat or something, have that be like a modern A-Team type movie that isn't called the A-Team. because I know they tried to reboot that a few years back, and that flopped too. So, but give me a style of movie like that. I think that could work, because then you can have them being all in the movie and have it be a jokey type movie, and have that be a movie just by itself without a predator, without any kind of extra baggage on top of that. It kind of reminded me of the comic book movie that they came out with a while back. What was it called? The Losers? I think that was something similar. But give me like a movie like that with just them in it. I think that would sell a whole lot by itself. That's what they should have did with that idea. Having all of those characters in a Predator movie, and then having a shitty military on top of that, and having a super Predator chasing the regular Predator. It's a bunch of convoluted ideas that I just don't think mesh well when you mash it all together. Like character wise, you had a lot of characters in this movie. Main character guy was okay. Like I said, he was fine. The black guy, scientist asshole guy, okay, fine. I mean, if you have to have somebody run the military, he was actually fine in the movie. I went into the movie thinking, he was gonna be like, the shitty character, because what can he do with his character? But he was the guy who, I don't know if he was ad-libbing most of his lines, but he was like the one-liner machine in the whole movie, right? And they even got, to one specific line where they got a little bit too personal. Where I think there was one scene where he looked at when the upgrade Predator kills the regular Predator. He looked at that Predator's dead body and he was like, damn, fuck that nigga up. I was like, oh. It was like, they let that slide in the movie. But all of his lines were great. I like him in this movie. I just hated the fact that they kind of made him an asshole in this movie for no reason. Olivia Munn's character, why was she in the movie? Her whole reason for being in this movie is just to be an exposition machine. There's no story reason for her to be in this movie. You already have other scientists that are in this movie. Like, they even brought in, I want to say like Gary Busey's son. Since Gary Busey was in Predator, I think he was in Predator 2, and this guy was his son, so they brought him. He was one of the scientists there. You first saw him. The main black guy scientist brought in Olivia Munn characters because they was like, okay, well we got these alien spacecrafts. They bring in Olivia Munn's character, and this is like her first day there when all of this stuff kind of breaks out in the movie. So she has no purpose as far as the story, other than just to be that one character who's like, well, maybe their predators are doing this because of this, and because of this, because of that. That's like her whole character. She didn't have to be there. The Predator dog scene or whatever, like the upgrade Predator comes with 2 Predator dogs, and they shoot one of them in the head, and it's like they lobotomized it, so he becomes nice and he becomes like a damn puppy dog. Like, I'd have cut that all out altogether. That served no fucking purpose. I mean, there's a lot in this movie that's just kind of mashed together, and honestly, I just don't know what happened. I don't know if this is what the studio wanted, or if this is what Shane Black wanted, because I think he directed it. I just think they have a bunch of different ideas, and they just put them all in one movie, and I think maybe they're trying to see what audiences like. And then they're going to try to make a sequel out of that and go from there. But the storyline that they had in this movie, it, like I said, for the first half of the movie, it's okay. It's still kind of fast paced. It's still kind of all over the place. But they're telling a cohesive story for the most part when it comes to like the overall plot. Olivia Munn's character, no, and they're still not counting in certain things. But the overall plot of the movie is okay. I think they'd have cut, I think they should have cut out the little kid, deciphering the Predator language, cut all that bullshit out too, because we don't got to see none of that. But families like to go see that shit, so I mean, it's, like I said, this movie, I just don't think it catered to me. But I just think the story that they chose to go with was ass, honestly. They could have did something better. I'm hoping maybe a DVD or a Blu-ray comes out that has the original ending in there, so we can see what that is. But I just don't see why we can't just have just like a regular Predator movie with a new cast. It doesn't have to be set in the jungle. It doesn't have to be You know, something that's just like the first one. I'm not saying go take it back, because I don't think you can do that. Predator 1 was an original classic. It's something you can't reproduce now that we've seen the monster in like 5 or 6 movies. You have to, I mean, if it were me, I would make a regular Predator movie, have like 1 or 2 main characters, and put them in a situation where you have a Predator going around killing people. And maybe they're trying to stop the Predator, or maybe they're trying to figure out why the Predators keep coming to Earth and hunting and killing us. You know, do something along those lines and just build your universe slowly from there. Have the main characters not die at the end of the movie, you know, and then continue on in sequels and things like that. Hopefully, I mean, that's where I want them to go, but now that I've seen this movie, I know that's not the direction they're going to go in, so man, this movie, I knew before I seen it. I was sitting there talking to somebody else, and I was like, oh, this movie's gonna be ass. I knew I wasn't gonna like it. I knew I wasn't gonna fully enjoy it, but Black Scientist guy, he made my day throughout the whole movie, besides him being a dick. And the loonies, they kind of made, with the comedy they had in the movie, at least as far as them interacting with each other, not necessarily the Predator and everything else, that was done very good. Like I said, give me a movie with just them. You know, give me a movie with just them and somebody trying to kill them and they're trying to stay alive or something. I don't know. Give me a military movie with them in it. you know, give me like something like the A-Team. But anyways, fellas, that's just been my impressions on the Predator movie. Sorry if things didn't go as planned when it came to you know, I know I always jump all over the place when it comes to my commentaries and things like that, and I feel like this one kind of went all over the place. I try to get more of a structure going for these types of things, especially like these movie reviews, because I know people just want to get in and out with them and things like that. But Predator to me is such a huge franchise. That's one of my favorite movies. You know, like even when you encounter some of the later ones, it's like I like certain things about it, but I hate most of it. But I just had a lot to say about this one here, so that's why this video is like probably gonna be like 24 minutes. But anyways, my name is the Nanu, the man with the most biggest and the most blackest privilege on YouTube, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.